Hello, Vincent here. Glad you could join me today. Oh yes, it must be Christmas. What on earth have we got here? We have a parcel from Ultimark, who provide arcade control parts here in the UK. We have an actual package from China. We have something from eBay, and then we have my existing vault of bits and pieces. What on earth is all this about? Let's start with the package from China. What have we got in here? We've got a crinkle. It's a mini programmable keypad where you can set, it's got 12 keys, you can get different ones, different sizes, where you can set these up to do, well, to map as key presses or macros, or you can do all sorts of things with it basically. It lights up as well, but I can't show you that yet. I haven't plugged it into anything. So, tiny programmable keypad. Number one, exhibit number one. Exhibit number two, from eBay, check this out. I was looking for some arcade buttons and they were all really expensive, and Ultimark had sold out of all the colours that I wanted, and everywhere else they looked really pricey, and then I found this job lot on eBay. Oh yes. So we've got enough buttons for like my next 10 projects. We've got nice red arcade buttons, we've got some black ones, that's good. Those red and black ones will fit nicely into my red and black motif that I've been using on a couple of recent projects. We've got some, what else have we got here? Some 1 and 2 player start buttons. We've got a whole bunch of these kind of translucent ones, so we could maybe use these if we were going to have lit up buttons perhaps. We've got enough of those to do something with. And then about 4 million micro switches and tightening nuts for all of those, and a few other translucent mini buttons as well. So we've got enough buttons for what we want to do. Wonderful, but let's put these in here. There we go. Buttons, 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 switches, buttons. I don't think I'm going to ever need to buy any more arcade buttons ever again, no matter how many projects I do from this point on. We're not done. We're not done. I've got this one. This one's from Ultimark. What have we got in here? This is where the interesting stuff is. We've got a couple more start buttons, a wiring harness. We've got a regular arcade clicky joystick. That will come in useful. Very good. We've got a different kind of joystick, one that reaches the parts that others cannot reach. So this is this is a flight stick with buttons on it, but it's more than that. It's not a normal arcade flight stick. It's an analog flight stick with this kind of analog sensor on the bottom. So I'm thinking afterburner, right? Space Harrier, that kind of thing. This would make a great arcade controller for some of these games. Let's put that to one side. And some more cables which we'll need, and one more thing. We have got a spinner. an arcade spinner. Let's have a look at this. Ultimark spin track arcade spinner with a separate spin knob that goes on the top. Let's have a look. Oh, I think I'll need to take that out of the bag, and then you need to put it on and tighten it on with a screwdriver. But spinner, I'm thinking Arkanoid, right? Tempest, right? So lots of potential with this one. Fantastic. So we can load up my existing pile of project bits with that, and we've already got in here an iPack. This is a controller board. I think I've got another controller board, a mini one somewhere in one of these bags, and this funny little thing, this steering wheel, you can actually mount on top of the spinner, and you can have that as a 360-degree steering wheel. So for that, I'm thinking Super Sprint, right? Okay, so we have all these amazing controls, and I think perhaps I better put this one back in its bubble wrap. This was probably the most expensive bit. It's got some delicate analog machinery going on there at the bottom. So that's just a little teaser of where I'm heading on my upcoming projects. Yeah, just thought I'd show you all these bits as they just arrived, and I'm very excited about it. As a side note to all of this, it did occur to me as I was going through all these gadgets that you're probably sitting there thinking, Vincent, what the hell are you doing? You're not seriously considering putting all of those different random controllers into one big giant Frankenstein control panel mess, are you? Ha! I'm not. I've already done that. Here, this is my Frankenstein panel. I just thought I'd show you that. We'll talk. I'll show you around this another time. But yes, I've already done the Frankenstein, do everything semi-properly panel here. And you know what? This is great, because this is a way of testing all this different technology, like setting up MAME so that it uses a spinner, or setting up the trackball so that it's a mouse and then that works. Anyway, just thought I'd show you that very briefly. You know what, while we're doing this, why don't we just carry on? So this was my project that I did a year or two ago, when I was thinking I want to try all the different types of controls, stick them all into one panel. I want to make it much smaller than the previous 2-player monstrosity that I made. So I want to do it 1 player, but quite a few buttons. I really need to turn this around so you can see it from your point of view, don't I? There we go. That's more like it. So you can see we have a kind of start and select, or coin and start button for arcade games, and then we've got 8-button configuration, and you don't really need 8 buttons like arcade games, right? So like the fighting games use 6, so you've got the classic 6. But then I was thinking I want to make this so that I can run this on emulators of consoles, for example, and then 8 buttons is quite useful. For example, like the PlayStation, you got like triangle, circle, square, cross, and then you've got effectively like L1, R1, L2, R2. You've got like 4 shoulder buttons. You have L3 and R3, but there aren't many games that use those. So anyway, 8 buttons kind of does for a lot of emulation, console emulation scenarios. And then I've got a spinner in there because I've never used one of these before, and I wanted to see if I could run some MAME or Final Burn Neo arcade games that use a spinner, like Arkanoid basically, and also try out. I'd never played Tempest with a spinner. I wanted to try that out, see how good a game the classic Tempest is if you actually got some kind of controller that's more well suited to it. And then we got a trackball. which just doubles as a system mouse. Could be quite handy with two mouse buttons. And all this is just, this case is just MDF that's been painted with car paint. So you can get automotive paint and you do a couple of layers and sand it, and you get not a bad effect. It's quite nice. And that illusion is completely ruined when I turn it over and you see inside. And then I don't know how well you can see, but you can see it's just MDF. I haven't sprayed the inside, and this was about as small as I could possibly make it. So on this end here you can see the joystick. I've had to like rig up a bit of extra bits of board to hold it in place properly, and then we have the main buttons in the middle, 8 buttons, and then we've got, here's where the spinner comes through, a couple more buttons for the mouse, and then the trackball. The trackball's just ridiculously large. It takes up a huge amount of space because you've got light sensors and spinning wheels with slits in them for the light sensors to pick up there. And then all of that is controlled via this like really nifty, super small mini iPack, which takes them all as inputs. Everything goes into there, the analog stuff and the digital stuff, and it just connects USB, single USB up to your computer. So the electronics of it looks like a nightmare with all these cables. It was fairly straightforward, and I made kind of nice rounded edges on the front. My carpentry wasn't up to making the whole thing rounded, so I've gone diagonal on the corners there, but it kind of gives it a bit of a interesting style compared to just making it a box. And this works quite well. I had this hooked up to a Windows computer for testing all the analog stuff out, and it works great. Though I did run into some problems when I connected it up to Batacera, a slightly old version of Batacera these days, which is a Linux based like emulation distribution that has all of these emulators built in, and I had issues with the analog controls whereby they would get stuck. They would work for a bit, but they'd hit the edge of the screen or something, and like so they wouldn't work to the full range. It was a bit weird, so there's probably some way of resolving that I haven't looked up yet. But anyway, just thought I'd show you my Frankenstein one player, all the controls control panel. The other thing I should say about this, and I don't know why I did this, is I didn't put a base on it. So it's just a top panel and side panels, but I haven't put a base panel onto it. I guess I was thinking, well, you can't see the wires if they're underneath, but it means they all kind of dangle out the bottom. So really what it needs is a bottom panel that matches the top one with some hinges or like magnetic catches or something to hold it on. So I'll probably do that at some point and show you how I did it. Another thing I should mention is, so this spinner, yeah, you can play Arkanoid with it. It makes Arkanoid 100 times better, but you can also kind of use it as like a pseudo steering wheel. And I have to say, it makes Virtua Racing. I mean, it's a bit weird because it doesn't have any full lock as such. It just goes forever. So you have to like find the midpoint where you're driving, where you're steering straight ahead. But it still makes some games like Virtua Racing a lot easier to play than with just like left-right digital controls. So it doesn't replace a proper steering wheel. But I think steering wheels for arcade games is like a whole other rabbit hole of fun and games to get into, with different gear selectors, different ranges of 270 degrees, or I've no idea, and they all have different custom devices. So it would be great to have something that could, with a steering wheel, that could properly play arcade races, but to me, I think at the moment, I think that's really complicated, probably a bit too complicated. But this is quite a fun halfway house, you wouldn't think, but yeah, it works quite well. Now what this doesn't have on it, I mean it's got the kitchen sink, right? But what this doesn't have on it is an analog joystick, because at the time, maybe I couldn't get hold of one, or maybe this nice analog flight stick wasn't out yet, or I just wanted to make something smaller. But I always felt like one of my favourite games is Space Harrier. Very simple game, but analog, it might not be true analog controls on the original. It might be one of these 49-way, but you can map an analog joystick to a 49-way input. And I wanted some controls that would be able to do that, and Space Harrier, and and Afterburner, which I think is either analog or pseudo analog. So that's where the Frankenstein mega fantasticness of this ran out. It couldn't do things like that very well. Hence the next project that I'm going to embark on. But it won't be a Frankenstein panel like this. Oh no, I'm thinking interchangeable panels on a small cabinet. That's what I'm thinking. All right, that's it for now. I'll see you soon.